Welcome to the Finance Geeks, a podcast about real financial planning. Join us as we get into the nitty-gritty, discussing everything from pensions to portfolios. If you're into numbers, strategies, and running a successful practice, this is your ultimate geeky hangout.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 8 of the Finance Geek podcast. Thanks for joining us. My name is Warren Shute. I'm here joined by
Paul Clewer.
And today we're talking about Paul's 18 points on how to run an efficient business. It's going to be a good one. Tune in. So, Paul, what have you been up to?
I like this question because it's very personal. Yeah, I've been, as I always say, busy. I'm always busy doing something, trying to be productive. But my wife would say that I take on too many tasks. I think that I like a project. I've always got something going on. But we've been welcoming a new staff member this Monday who just started, Thomas, our new administrator. So my team have mostly been training him up. So that's been happening. I've been the usual busy gym work, karting with my son. But because it's the end of January, I found that I'm spending a lot of time putting together our Trails bulletin. Trails is the name of our model portfolio system, tandem risk assessed investment levels. And every 6 months, we do a bulletin explaining, are we going to make any changes, what's going on, and give people the data and a bit of summary. So there's the winter one in January, and then there's a summer one. So I've been doing that. And then I've had builders on site and contractors and chippies and plumbers and all of this because we're developing this building at the back of my house, which is called the Stables, but it's actually going to be a sort of filming studio / staff rec room, child play area,
Dad play area,
and dad play area. And I bought a dartboard actually the other day from Amazon. I'm very excited about that. A Windmow or with Luke Littler. What's he called? Luke the Nuke. Is it Luke?
Yeah.
The darts player, that young kid who's 16. I bought his darts and another bloke's off Amazon. So got all the kit. So I'm so excited. That's massive. 50 square meter open room to put a dartboard in.
Good.
And then lastly, I've been for an eye test because my eyesight's getting worse. So I've done that. And then focusing on some client work. I've squeezed that in, a bit of client work as well, doing my job as a financial planner. How about you, Warren? What have you been up to?
It's been good. I had a great Christmas break. Come back just over a week ago, and just been settling into the routine of work, really. So not an awful lot on. Busy planning a golf trip with Ollie. I'm going to go away to Spain, play a little bit of golf. I don't like this time of year. I need some sunshine.
Didn't you say that you watched a film, the Shawshank Redemption? You were telling me the other day.
So,
can you believe how old it is? When did it come out again?
I watched it first when I was 21 years old, which would have been about 30 years ago, 25, and I think it's about 30.
So 94, yeah. Maybe it was released in 94, so it's 30.
That would be 95. I would have watched it. I think it was released in 94. Yeah, a good film. I sat there. It was great. Nikki went out with her dad. Ollie was out for a run. Bella was at school, and I sat there. Steak, chips, bit of broccoli, fire on. Shawshank Redemption. Hey, life doesn't get much better in January.
Get busy living or get busy dying.
Yes. Yeah, I like that quote. That's a really, really good quote. Really, really good quote. So
they're still around. There's still friends, Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman, and I think he's now about 80 or 81. He's virtually stopped acting. Morgan Freeman, but yeah, Morgan,
great
but
actor.
Your friend of yours, close personal friend of yours,
Great
I'm sure.
Actor.
But he's got a voice like. Who was the guy who played Darth Vader?
No idea. Sorry.
Vince would know this. Come on. He just died recently. He was in his 90s. What's his name? I have to look it up. But Morgan Freeman's got a voice like him.
Great voices. So today we're going to spend some time in giving our listeners some of our tips on how we run efficient businesses. And you're really keen to point out that this isn't the only way to run an efficient business, but given the types of businesses we run, we feel we've got a little bit of credibility to talk about it. Is that fair?
It is. Yeah, I always preface this, any discussion I do, any presentation on sort of how to do something, rather than say this is the only way, it's to say this way works for us. And, anyone who tries to be super efficient, you've got to be willing to change and adaptive to new software, new routines, and listen to your team as well when they bring in suggested processes to make things more efficient. So it's a constant process. but yeah, there's definitely things that new businesses can learn from this, hopefully, and more mature businesses as well, as to how to continue to be more and more efficient.
Yeah, let's kick us off with your first point. Know your role. Point one.
That's right. That's right. If we, as you know, we run. Our listeners will know we run financial planning practice each, and there's a lot of one man bands that are out there, and single advisor firms. I'm currently a sort of sole advisor firm with additional staff to help, and there's obviously mid-size and large businesses, but in all of these, there's different things that you can be doing. If you are wearing multiple hats, if you are the director, if you are the financial planner, that is the rainmaker generating business, you've got to do multiple things. You've got to find new business. You've got to look after your clients. You've got to do the compliance, the accounting, the banking. I think it's knowing what your key skill set is and do more of that.
Would you also paraphrase that as saying knowing your outcome?
Absolutely not. I would never say that. No, someone annoying that I know really says that all the time. But it's also, I think there's lots of elements and nuances within finance. Now, we don't offer mortgages in-house. We don't offer will writing in-house. And you've got to know what part of finance that you do.
Okay, but let me challenge you. Okay, so I agree with you, but why? Why have we got to know? Because like I wear a number of different hats, and I'm going to explain to you how I manage that. But for me, it's like you got to know what you want. What is it you want to accomplish? Some people listening will say, well, actually, I want to know my role because I want to run a lifestyle firm. I kind of want to tick over, keep my clients happy, but it's more important for me that I do 4 hours a day and that's it. Whereas others might be looking to build the next $1 billion or £1 billion practice kind of thing. So I think it's knowing your role, what you want, what you do, what you don't do, what you stand for.
Okay, yeah, maybe, but we talk about efficiency here, and I think last week we talked about a successful business, like a couple of weeks ago in our previous podcast, how to run a successful business and how to prepare for 2025. Knowing your role gives you direction, it gives you focus, and you've got to. We have a roles and responsibilities document where each staff member, Kevin, my paraplanner, Catherine, our practice manager, and Thomas, our new administrator, they know what they're responsible for. I know what my role is, and I don't forget it. I've got to do the bills, I've got to do the payroll, but I don't digress by doing things that are not within my remit. When it comes to the banking, the zero, the bookkeeping, my wife does that. If it's the who's writing the reports and doing the research and the technical blurb, Kevin will assist with most of that. We outsource things, for people. We'll talk about this later about, things that you can outsource. But I think that, you can't, it's very difficult to multitask and say, even if you are able to do everything, you've still got to do what generates the revenue.
100%. And I think for listeners who are running a one-man band, the way that I still do that internally. So I wear two hats pretty much. I wear the financial planner hat where I'm seeing clients giving advice, and I do that on set days. And then I run the director hat, the business owner hat, that I do on a set day. So I think, while you're building the business, you're going to have different hats that you wear. It's natural. And I would probably try and recommend that you segment your diary into either days or half days rather than going in to see a client first thing on a Monday morning, coming out and in the afternoon paying the bills, and then a bit later on doing a bit of marketing before you go and see another client in the evening. I think our mindset and our identity and the way we work gets into a routine.
It does. And it's knowing your routine is part of knowing your role, I suppose. I mean, I don't like to in any way suggest that I'm good at multitasking. I think it's quite well known that men in general and people in general think they can multitask but can't.
Yeah.
Now, saying that, just to sort of combat some of the things you've just said, I don't personally have a day where I say, right, today I'm working on the business, and then that's a Monday. Tuesday and Wednesday I'm doing client work. It does all come together on the one day, and I sort of have block out my diary. So if I've got an appointment, I've got to do that, and then in the afternoon I'll try and do the payroll or do some marketing or whatever it is. And I'm not multitasking. I am focusing on one thing at a time, but I'm doing different roles and wearing different hats throughout the day. So I think that for me, that works better.
Would you see a client in the morning and do your payroll in the morning on the same day, or do a bit of marketing in the morning?
Yeah, I just jump between them. I just get it all done. I'm just saying it.
If you're super intelligent like Paul, you can do that. If you're a bit more of a simple kind of guy like me, want an easy life, segment in the day stuff. It works really well for me and my team.
Hey, it's what the point. The point is whatever
It is.
works for you. You know, do what. This is part of it. We're digressing from know your role, but yeah, the you can't pretend to be good at
Yeah,
everything. Work out what you're good
yeah,
at, do those,
yeah,
and outsource other
yeah,
things. This knowing your role was about the type of main thing that you
yeah.
do.
And I had a bit of rant this week on LinkedIn about, if you're a financial planner and hold yourself out to be a financial planner, do financial planning and don't just do investment advice. It's my bugbear. But, be proud that you're an
Yeah,
investment advisor if that's what you want to do. Nothing
yeah.
wrong with it, but let's not mix them up. I'm going to go cross and each line. So the next one on
Okay.
that is
Yeah, yeah,
know
yeah.
your systems.
The systems for me isn't just the software that you use or the processes. It's a bit of everything. I think that it's everybody uses a slightly different system. There's lots of back office software. There's lots of operating systems and different email types that you can use. If you know how these things work for your business, whether it's a
Yeah,
financial planning business or a different one, and it's certainly to the point where you can use it efficiently, that right, we use OneDrive for business using SharePoint. We used to use Dropbox. That's the sort of where we hold things for client data. We use Intelligent Office
sure.
and we use that effectively, and Microsoft Office, and then lots of other types of software. But we also have systems that we know who does what, and who's doing how the scanner works and who does the posting. If we know how our systems work in the office, everything from the aircon, to the underfloor heating to the server
Yeah,
cabinet, and if you don't know how it all works, if something goes wrong,
yeah.
then your phone system you've got to have somebody who can come in and fix it, or else you lose productivity and you lose efficiency
So
very
the whole
quickly.
whole of Lexington, everything we do is documented. We call it our end-to-end process. So literally, when a new recruit comes in, joy, one of their jobs is to not read it verbatim because they'd fall asleep, but go through and see and get familiar. And when they are challenged with what they're doing, they don't want to do, they can revert back to the system and follow the process. And if you're a
Yeah,
sole planner listening to this, thinking, well, I don't need that because I understand it all, and your aim is to grow your firm, one thing I'd say is start documenting, writing down now what you do and use it because things change and you have to keep using it. And then when you get a new recruit on, it's there. You can sort of hand them over, say, hey, read this. This is your training
absolutely.
manual. In your a portion of the way there. I'm not going to say you're all the way there, but you're a portion of the way there of getting things off the ground. And when you're not away, when you're away from the office on their own, they get stuck. Rather than picking up the phone and calling you, they can look at the operations manual.
Yeah,
So know
absolutely,
your system.
absolutely. Right, so let's carry on. Number
Completely
three.
agree with know your systems. Okay, number 3, tasks, notes, and follow up.
Yeah, yeah. So the we have a task system. We use Intelligent Office for our tasks as well. So the tasks for client tasks go on there, and they've got dates, and they get assigned to a certain person, and they can follow through with those. And if you don't use a task management process or bit of software, things are going to come a cropper. You'll just forget things. They'll lose. But the following up, my office manager, my practice manager, Catherine, is particularly good at this. Insofar as you email a client a short, relatively modest email, their action points, what they're going to do, and what I'm going to do, and the follow up to the phone calls, the follow up to the meetings when I have them face to face. We do them very quickly within 24 to 48 hours. Usually 24 hours. We'll send them a summary of what we've said, and your actions, our actions, and somebody's got to be taking notes. Now, this translates as well to what's your system. Do you take notes down in front of a client on a computer? Do you take them down with a pen? Or what we do is, what I've started to do more and more is to use Saturn AI. And there's lots of this AI software. I think it works pretty well for us to record the meeting, transcribes the notes. You get the MP3, which is the voice, the audio, and if it's a
Mm,
meeting on Teams or Zoom, you link CoPlanner and you get the MP4, the video of it. So we have a system
yeah.
for it. What about yourself, Lauren? What systems do you use for?
So it depends what you're talking about. So in the meeting, I have an associate planner sitting with me, and they've taken all the notes. We record all meetings. We get them transcribed using Copilot. We use Microsoft's version, and that's how we do the meetings. We have a task management system as well. Everything goes on it. We use a bit of software called ClickUp. It's independent, so it's not financial services linked. But not just the client tasks go on there. Everything goes on there. Anything. So everything from my CII or CISI membership renewal will be on there, that kind of thing. So, and that kind of runs, and those tasks then drop into our to do every day. And we'll work on those and we'll allocate time to work on those, that kind of thing. But taking notes, you talked about follow-ups and things like that, I have a delegated to folder. So whenever I ask any of my team, normally by internal chat or whatever, I'll just make a note in there. And then when we have our team meeting every week, I'll say, okay, is this done? Is this done? This done? Just going through a quick, oh, I didn't get that. What was that message? I missed that. And very occasionally there's little things in there. So having a process that you can follow, a delegated to follow-up task, that kind of thing, I think is essential to getting things wrapped up.
I'm surprised that you have an associate sitting on your meetings, only because of the time that it takes and the cost of that. I know that I've heard this before, and again, this is just me disagreeing with you in terms of how we do it. It doesn't mean that what you're doing is wrong, of course. But some advisors have their power planner sitting on the meeting, and they record the notes. I'm thinking, God, some of my meetings are 2 hours long, and I don't need them in there for the whole 2 hours when they be doing other more constructive work. So, whatever the way that you're going to record the meeting and transcribe it, do whatever's best.
It's a training program, so he'll eventually become an authorized advisor, and then we'll do that. But even when that's done, I'll bring my power planner in, and they'll sit in on the meeting. So, number 4, processes.
Yeah, sure. Let's put the 4 and 5 together.
4 and 5. Okay, process and procedures and checklists and templates.
Yeah, because I think they go together. You said earlier you've got a procedures manual and a process manual, so you can follow it. In any business, there has to be, if it's to grow and for training purposes as well, for compliance purposes, some kind of procedures. And I link that in with checklist and templates because, the templates, I found that it's a constant thing. It's not just the Word document template for a particular letter that we're going to send out, whether it's a suitability letter for work that we've done, or whether it's a particular type of communication letter. Let's say it's tax return or fill your ISAs or end of tax year. But I found now I'm trying to get wording specific that I can have in templates for my emails. Because I know that just the other day I did a partial transfer, or I've recommended a partial transfer from a Scotwoods pension from this client's employer money purchase scheme, or group personal pension with Scotwoods, to transfer it to Transact. And he's, why should I do that? Well, I've got the wording as to the rationale why to do it. And if you can use it from before and tweak it, you end up writing it all again. So it's getting these little ditties, these little points where you can just copy that data.
Do you use quick parts in Outlook? That's great.
Oh, do. That's what I'm trying to
use quick parts. We use quick parts quite a bit. Exactly what you said. Standard wording in there. Our model portfolios, risk assessments, that kind of thing, whatever it might be, we use frequently. And then within our software, when a task falls due, so say, for example, it's a 45-day phone call to the client falls due, there'll be an agenda in there, what the individual needs to ask the client, make sure everything's sort of followed out that way. So, completely agree. The process, checklist, that kind of thing.
We've started to, when I send emails, I'll CC my team in. Not all of them, but depends who the person who's dealing with the task is. And I know that Catherine puts some of the emails into a folder in Outlook that just says templates. And so we can use that in the future if it's a similar type of arrangement and just do it that way. So it's similar to what you've just said.
Okay, so new business register, number 6.
Yeah, so we keep, honestly, God, there's loads of software to use for this, and we still use Excel.
We do too. No, we do.
We do. New business, what have I done? £200 a month pension, £1,000 a month GIA, whatever it is. I've done some life insurance, done a bond, done a pension. And it gets put on there with the client's name, the date, and the revenue or the fee that's generated from that. And then at the end, when I'm doing my either my PI report or professional indemnity, or especially when I'm doing my RMAR report via Connect, and it asks you for data like how many policies do you submit that year for protection, and what's the variance between life insurance, critical illness, and PHI. And I'm also using it to monitor what business I'm actually doing. So you've got some MI, so you can see what revenue you're writing, what you're doing month on month or year on year.
We have 2 other registers that are very similar to that. So we obviously have the MBR on Excel. We also have what we call an agreed business register. So when I'm in a meeting, I'm talking to a client and we agree something. Okay, I'll do that. We'll go ahead with that. That goes straight onto the agreed register until we've got all the compliance stuff ready. So we might have to go and get an advice report, get all this done, everything together. And we send out when the client signs the application, it then goes on the new business register. So an agreed register really, it comes from the accountancy world. It's like a pipeline for what's going on, that kind of thing.
So in the new business register for us, we have another tab that says prospective business. So when I get leads and stuff like that, I put it there and then I move it over.
Same sort of thing. And the third thing that we have, which is new for us, and Cats, our compliance people, have asked us to do it, is I think it's called an advice register. And it's really where we've advised the clients to do something, but it's not a regulated piece of business. So it might be a rebalance, or it might be a top up of something. We don't record top ups on our MBR. So things like that.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Right, next.
Learn to type. Number 7.
Yeah, I put this together for a presentation I did to $1 Million Round Table, and I was thinking about methods of ways to improve your efficiency. I thought, you know what, I'm I don't know, 50-60% touch typer. There are people out there, of course, run businesses, IFAs even, financial planners, and they're touch typer. They type with 2 fingers and really slow, make lots of mistakes. And I'm not saying that everyone needs to go on a typing course, but one way or another, practice makes perfect. And I found that when I'm typing, it's now with the software with Microsoft, it's quite clever, especially on these new phones where you're typing it with your thumbs, but the word or phrase comes up and you've got to sweep across. But what you've got to make sure you do, which I'm always constantly trying to do, is check the grammar, check the spelling. It's a bugbear of mine, and my wife would laugh at this because she sees errors in mine and would want to correct it. And read over what you've done. Does it make sense what I've actually written here? So, but it does speed things up if you're quick typing.
It does. Do you know what? I guess with the advancements of technology and stuff like that, it's probably moving towards audio, isn't it? Where we just talk to our computer and stuff like that. But having an efficient way of getting communication out, definitely. I use the video email quite a lot. What's it called? Loom, yeah, Loom. So I use that quite a bit to communicate with people and stuff like that.
They're brilliant. It's very personal.
People love it. It's like, and you and I, you can articulate 1,000 words very, very quickly. Click on send, it's gone. Rather than sending, I'm not one for big long emails. We'll come on to that. 6, 7. Number 8, utilize software.
So you got to know this. That sort of links into know your systems as well. But the software that you have as a business, it's important that you keep on top of it and be aware of other software that's available out there in the marketplace. It's constantly being updated and changing, and you've got to regulate these things. I mean, any business that uses computers has got to have an IT department of some description. We outsource ours, but we do have what I think is some pretty decent in-house software that does it for us, that works for us. We have a sort of proprietary a bit of software for creating the financial plans, for producing the projections and the game plans and the graphs. And I've looked around at others, and it just didn't do it for us. The big ones like Voyant and Truth. I think you use Truth or Presswood, one and the same thing. Lots of others out there, but utilizing other software like AI software, and you said use ClickUp, for task management software. You've got to use software these days and embrace it.
Yeah, we leverage software as much as we can. Everything from our expenses too. I use Dext. So get a receipt, take a photograph of the receipt, go straight into our Xero software. It makes it a bit easier for Nikki, my wife, to process and stuff. So really try and sort of leverage much. I have a bit of software called Brain Toss.
Yeah, I remember you saying. You've said that.
Yeah, that's great. Take a photo. I'm just very aware not everyone listens to every one of our podcasts, but take a photograph or take a voice memo. It just emails back to the office. So it's very good to sort of leverage all these sort of things. Number 9, focus and delegate.
So I thought these two went well together, because if you're focused on your job and then you end up trying to multitask, you find that unless you are a good delegator, you end up taking on other people's jobs, and you're doing things that are perhaps not beneath you, but are not within your skill level. So certain things that perhaps you're not as good at, or you can utilize your time more effectively, delegate the rest to someone else, whether it's another team member or someone external to your operation.
Do you know when you say focus, I am going to say it, but it's very, very important to know what it is you want to accomplish. I'm going to try and avoid the word outcome, but it's very important, because what are you focusing on? And whenever I'm with clients, I always talk to them about making decisions through the filter about what brings you more happiness. So, focus, yes, but what are we focused on? We're not just focused on the work. It's like, okay, this is what I'm looking to accomplish. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing, making sure you've got bigger picture. And, delegating in passing over allows you to leverage your time, but you've got to have a structure in there to follow up and make sure things get accomplished. So having regular check-ins with your team. So we have a weekly team huddle, and then we have a weekly level 10 meeting. So you're delegating things, just saying, okay, do this, this is going to get done. you're making notes, you've got your notes, your task, and then you're following up with that maybe a week later or a period of time later. So you're confident these things are going to get done. And when we delegate and we have team huddles, we include our outsource as well. We treat our outsourcers pretty much like employees. So it's really important, I think, to to make sure that there's a continuity in the work that you're doing.
Definitely. The focus thing as well. One of the things I bought recently was this. Can you see it on the screen? It's a little timer.
No way.
And you, yeah.
That's amazing. No, that's awesome. That wasn't a joke. That was.
It's simple as you turn it to get the time, and then you press it. And then if I've got a job where I want to try and do something in 20 minutes, I set this on my desk to 20 minutes. And then I put the timer on, press it. And then, of course, I'm looking at the job and I'm thinking, right, Paul, your focus is get this done in this period of time.
It's scary how similar we are. I do that on my phone.
God.
Yeah, so
I put a timer on your phone.
Yeah, I don't have one of those, but I might get one. I work in 50-minute chunks throughout the day. So it's really because I like to have breaks and move around, get my steps in. So I literally set my phone, I work 50 minutes out, I go to the toilet, make a cup of coffee, make sure the staff are okay, get my head down, work another 50 minutes. And I do that all through the day.
That's good. I mean, it's not everybody wants to work that way, but I think
they should. It's the best way to work.
Yeah, they should. We're talking about being efficient.
I'm joking, guys.
Of course, because you do it. But if you want to be efficient, all of these things in some kind of combination will assist, I would hope. And the method of focusing on the task at hand and not digressing. Have you heard the statistic? It's something like, let's say you're typing an email and you think, it's going to take me about 10 minutes or 30 minutes to figure this out and reply back. If a staff member comes in and interrupts you, or you've not put your phone on silent and the phone rings, you then have to deal with that, whether it's, sorry, I haven't got a minute, or they distract you. And then you've got to get back into the zone in flow to do what you're doing. And it can take up to 15 minutes to refocus. Yep. So we talked about having in our office a little tandem flag on the desk. And what you do is you put one on everyone's desk. And when they've got it in front of them on the desk, you don't disturb them. So it's all, well, you can't just shout over when someone's in the middle of a phone call or in the middle of a task and then just say, can I just have your attention? It's like a child who wants your attention and they don't understand that you're busy. They just want it anyway.
Yeah.
So
like that's good. I like that. I do like that. That's a good idea. Having some kind of flag on your desk or some kind of notification. We try and use the out of office or do not disturb on Teams. But it's not as explicit. So you'd have to look at that before you say something. So, fortunately, because I've been doing it for a while, my team are pretty good at not interrupting me when I'm down doing stuff because they know in roughly 50 minutes or so he's going to be up and doing something. I can.
There's the do not disturb thing on your phone. Yes. So on all, I use a Samsung, an Android phone, and you can see on here that there's a little button that says don't disturb. You can also have. You can set phones these days, and whether it's Apple or Android or whatever, to not just to don't disturb, but you can restrict the notifications. Yeah. Notifications drive me around the bend. Most of them now I just suppress and turn off because you get your phone, if you've connected to your phone to your watch or your phone, it's beeping, it's buzzing on the phone. You're like, oh my, and you get distracted, and which obviously ruins your focus straight away, doesn't it?
We all have notifications off. So in our office, no notifications, no email pings, that sort of stuff, because it just saps your attention. I think it's number 10, control the meeting. I think this is essential. This is so important.
You tell me what you think that means to you, and then I'll tell you what I think.
Okay, so first of all, and I know I say it every time, but it's a buzzcock word, right? You've got to know what the outcome of the meeting is, start off with. So every meeting has an agenda, literally every meeting. So every client meeting, every internal meeting, we have an agenda. We know we work the agenda. We make sure we follow the agenda. When the meeting is likely to go off piste, and I did it the other day, and Chris Chalmers in the meeting says, you did that really well. When the client takes a breath, you then ask them a question to bring it back on track. So they go off, they start talking about their holiday, and you think, well, actually, I've got all this other stuff to get done. As soon as they take the breath, say, oh, and can you tell me what's the value of your mortgage again? Or whatever the question might be. So I think keeping to your agenda is essential because you have to get that meeting wrapped up within the hour, within the 2 hours or whatever. Otherwise, it's going to go off. One thing that we do in addition to that is I spend a good 90 minutes or so before a planning meeting, and I'll spend maybe 10 minutes or so before an internal meeting, just thinking, what's my outcome? What do I want to accomplish from this meeting? How can I add value to the client? He's smiling, so I'm saying the word outcome again.
Please stop saying it. Do my head in. It's like I'm talking to a parrot or a muppet or something. Don't put me one of those, special a character that's just you pull a cord at the back. What's your outcome? What's your outcome? What's your outcome? Yeah. No,
it's very much true though. That is what I'm doing. So because how else are you going to help the client move more towards what they want to accomplish?
In all seriousness, I agree 100%. Yeah, 100%. I agree. At the beginning, the time management of the meeting. If you've told your clients before, you've set the expectations of the meeting. You've said, look, the meeting's going to be an hour and a half. Is that okay? Yes, good. If you've told them that before setting the meeting, and so you put an Outlook diary and it's an hour and a half, when you start the meeting on time, you could say to them, the pleasantries, how you're doing, all the rest of it. And let's say it started at 10 o'clock. You could look, you don't got to be careful about looking at your watch because it can sometimes be a bit insulting because it looks like you're trying to get them out of there. But you could say at the beginning of the meeting, are you okay to continue till about 11:30? I'm conscious of your time. And it's trying to put it, be friendly about it and say, we'll work towards this 90 minutes so we can get through it. And in the same way that I totally agree with yourself, what you said about controlling the meeting. I establish the time scale, get them to agree, and then ask them questions that I want the answers to and get them on track and don't digress. And if they do, you let them go for a bit. And then without saying, can we just get back on track? I think you've got to be a bit nicer about it. But yes, controlling the meeting, asking the questions that are essential to get the outcome that the client wants.
Completely. Okay, what are we on, number 10?
Yeah, 10, yeah, 10. So, yes. No, 11 outsource.
Sorry, 11. Yeah. Number 11, outsource.
So what do you outsource? Because I can tell you, we outsource a lot in our business.
Well, we outsource a lot. So we outsource compliance, power planning, admin, website, obviously IT. We outsource quite a bit of stuff, really.
In a smaller firm, when there's not a lot of staff, you almost have to do this. Yeah. I mean, I know some people might outsource all of their bookkeeping or accounting, whatever, but we do the bookkeeping in-house, and we have an accountant like most businesses will. But you're right, the IT, the marketing, we don't outsource power planning, we do that in-house. But they will, when we refer to wills, to mortgage brokers, we do what we're good at, which is financial planning and sort of a generalist. I don't like, if I was to specialize in anything, it would be lifestyle planning and sort of just the basics, pension savings, investments, and protection. I don't like, and I do not profess to be an expert in all forms of finance. That it's hugely complicated. So we do the relatively simple stuff and outsource the rest. So big fan of knowing what to outsource. And then the people that you choose to outsource to, they've obviously got to be responsive, doing it for a fair price, and make sure that if you need them to come in and assist with anything, they're going to be around. So you've got to choose the people you're going to work with very carefully.
I would say I like outsourcing, but I think when it's appropriate, I prefer it in-house because the culture, the message is not quite the same. The reason we include our power planning admin into our team meetings, we want to try and make sure they're on board with our culture, the way we treat clients, everything else. Whereas you got someone sat in the office, full time, as it were, they're more ingrained with that sort of process. I think we do a lot of outsourcing, so I'm not belittling it. What else outsourcing helps you is grow inexpensively. And you get to a stage where I think actually it's now more cost efficient to bring it internally.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. As the firm grows, and if you've got 15, 20 staff and lots of advisors, a lot of the times the compliance, which we outsource at the moment, the chap that we use, Joe, comes in 4 times a year and he does file checks for us as well remotely. But we're not big enough to have an in-house compliance guy. It's going to cost me 30, 40, 50,000 pounds a year. It's better to outsource.
So 9, 10, 12. Number 12, shorter emails, less attachments, fewer options. Now, come on, Paul. You wrote these slides, right? You're the guy who sends me 2-page emails.
So the reason I do that, Warren, is I like to be thorough, and one up you. But also, as I sort of said to you off camera, it's me thinking, if I write this longer email, A, will I annoy him, by sending a long email, and B, how much do I have to? It just takes longer to explain it to yourself. So the clients that I work with are really smart, and so I just have to send them short emails. But in all, listen, this is pot calling kettle black. I agree, and I admit, hands up in the air, some of my emails are too long, and I have to actively force myself to write less, because you think if I send a longer email to my client, oh, I'm going to demonstrate technical knowledge, I'm going to give them more options. I've said specifically in here, fewer options, because if you say to somebody, here's 5 options, they just don't make a decision. So if you say here's 2 options, which is the ideal, and they're both positive options for you as the advisor, which one do you prefer? It's a classic sales technique. And when we send emails now, when we do a full meeting, a Teams meeting, an hour and a half annual review, presenting, online like we're doing here, I will then send the client a link in the email to all the documents, the report, the agenda, all the appendix, and then we send them a text with the password, rather than an email that's got 20 different PDFs in there. And so I think that the maximum should really be 1, but 2 or 3 PDFs is okay. If you say, here's your valuation statement, here's the performance analysis, and here's your ISA subscription report, and then you refer to them in the top part of the email. These are the attachments. This is what they are. And then the options part, we lay things out bullet pointed. I hate long emails where they've got big paragraphs because people don't read them. Bullet points. These are your tasks. These are mine.
And I completely agree. My emails are pretty much very, very short. And the attachments, we include the links and stuff generally. One thing I don't do on emails is I rarely, and I mean really rarely, will read anything that is CC to me. I'll only read emails that are to me. So if you're like sending a round robin email to everyone and just CCing everyone to cover your back or just in case they're interested or whatever, I'm not going to pick it up. I just don't read it. You get too many emails. I have so many rules set up on my inbox to filter things out that I just read the important stuff.
Yeah, I thought recently what I might do is create a new email address that's I don't know if I'm going to do this yet, but there's just like clients@Tandem Financial, and all my clients would just email that, and the other staff members can pick it up. Because what happens at the moment is some of my clients email Kevin or Catherine direct, some of them email me and CC them in, and then what I'm finding that I'm doing is I'm then forwarding this email that's been sent to me to Kevin or Catherine to say, can you just deal with this? Because it doesn't really require anything from me. You can deal with it. So it's tricky. And then you're right, email management, even though we've got spam filters and we use various bits of software to make sure we don't get any viruses or anything like that, you're still spending a lot of time dragging and dropping emails and all the rest of it. So then you set up your rules as to what emails go into which folders and when you read them.
So I review my emails at least once every 48 hours, often once every 24 hours. So I don't always check my emails every day. I might have a quick skim through it. I look at it. If I can action it within 3 minutes, I'll do it. If not, do I need it? Can I delete it, delegate it, or just maybe save it for a future reference or something? And if I need to do some work on it, it's going to take a bit more time, I'll just schedule it and put it in as a task. And that's the getting things done. That's the GTD training. That's the book, Dave Allen. And it works brilliantly. It works really, really well.
There's a lot of data out there, a lot of surveys that have shown that people spend way more time than they should. I don't know the exact time, whether it's 10 minutes or half an hour, dragging and dropping emails, filtering emails, deleting emails, junking emails, and spending forever. And I know. And I think the way that we work differently, I generally find that if I'm not in a meeting or not got a staff meeting or whatever, I'm usually at my computer and I see emails coming through and I'll usually reply to them pretty quick or forward them onto the team. And it's jumping between that and some projects. And I think getting it right between saying, don't look at your emails for 2 hours, focus on this particular project. I've not mastered that yet, but that's something I'm trying to work towards, whereby it's like it's like social media. Looking at your emails is a distraction sometimes because you think I've got all these ones flagged to reply to, but I'll just email the easy one that came in. And then you find that you're not prioritizing correctly.
I used to have my emails in reverse order. So my oldest email is at the top, my new emails come in at the bottom. So I work in chronological order. So 9, 12. Number 13, reduce travel time. I think you could change that by saying eliminate travel time, really.
Yeah, well, listen, both of us are fortunate enough to work essentially from home in a home office. And it's not as easy for everyone to do this. But what I would say is that if it's possible, try not to be unproductive in a car, on a train for as long as you can. Now it's easier said than done. If your job takes an hour to get to and you work in London, what we find is the travel networks in the UK, not only are they expensive and take time, but a lot of the times you don't get 4G or 5G signals, so you can't be productive in terms of working while you're on the train. And so if you one of the main reasons I decided to be able to buy the house that we did and build the barn and
Yeah,
work
but you
from
don't
home
need
is
you,
that
you don't
efficiency.
need that. I've been working from an office for over 25 years or something. So we had and I've only been here 20. We had an office and a business park and stuff. You can get relatively inexpensive rentals for office space.
That are not too far away,
Yeah,
hopefully, because you don't want to travel too far in between them. Is
yeah,
the
but
point?
arguably that's probably better because you're in a communal area with other businesses, which you're more likely to pick up leads in business from anyway. But having yourself based in an office, I think, is essential. If you do have to drive around, I'd recommend getting a driver, getting someone to take you to your appointments, so you can be.
Possible.
Well, why not? So you can be doing your admin and stuff in the back of the car while you're being driven. So a friend of mine is the number one planner, or was the number one advisor at SJP, and that's what he did. He used to have just someone he was in the back of his car with his power planner doing his notes and stuff, or often sleeping, as he would tell me.
Tremendous.
So the next one, less company meetings.
We're in an open plan office, and so we try not to have like a company meeting every week or every month. It might be every 3 months, every 6 months. It's just not that often. And as most of us know what we're doing anyway, they're good, they get on with it. In a previous firm, we had a company meeting once a month, and it was, I think it might be once a week. Anyway, it was just nobody looked forward to it. And it was prep time, it was taking time. You're talking about having meetings to talk about more tasks and more meetings. If you all know what you're doing and you've got a good roles and responsibilities document and everybody's having chats anyway throughout the day, I just don't think you have to have long meetings. I mean, one of the way that some firms I've seen do it, you stand up in the
Yeah.
meeting, so it only lasts 20 minutes because nobody, if you start sitting down and you go around the tables, it can last an hour and you've just been unproductive.
Okay, so
Is
I
the
guess we're
truth.
different in that respect. So we have a team huddle every Thursday morning, and we have a management meeting once a week. So team huddle 60 minutes, and the management meeting is 90 minutes, and that's every week.
Learn from this, do less of them, and then you'll save a lot of time.
But do you know?
No, Paul, I'm never going to
Well, no,
change.
it's not. It's not that. I guess it's an opportunity for my staff to ask me any questions about anything that's going on. So they rarely ask me anything during the week unless it's urgent. And on that time, they can say, "Okay, Warren, this, whatever." We can sort of run through anything that's needed.
This is where we're hugely
Yeah,
different because I constantly am talking to my team throughout the day. Kevin, just pop in here. Catherine, just pop in here. All the time, back and forth. But everybody knows what's going on with
but
everything, pretty
yeah, I
much,
know, but
all the time.
and it's not to pick you up on this, but if you went back to your previous point, you said we can't multitask, and when you get a distraction, it takes you 15 minutes. Maybe just having that concentrated time. Okay, so gather all those things together. Let's do them once or twice a week for 15 minutes or half an hour.
But they can see in my diary, if I block it out, when the available slots are. So they don't know, we know not to disturb each other. And that's not just them not disturbing me, it's me not going up to them all the time and tapping them on the shoulder and saying, I want you to do
Hey,
this.
look,
It's trying to find out when
it's
they're
it's evident
available.
there's different ways of doing things. The thing that I took from this really when I read this is external meetings. No, for goodness sake, stop going to the local, insurance providers CPD meeting for something you're not really interested in. You don't need to go and
Yeah.
listen to the next fund manager talk about how wonderful they are and why China's the next emerging economy, or their update on the pensions legislation, that sort of stuff. Unless it's CPD you need, and with online training now, it's so convenient just to get that sort of stuff done.
Yeah, no, I mean that goes down to the reduced travel time as well. There's a lot of gumph out there, isn't there? A lot of people trying vying for your time, whether it's fund
Yeah,
houses, or the CII or whoever, saying come and see us. Let's go to this meeting. You can spend a lot of time learning, listening,
completely.
talking, and actually not achieving anything.
Yeah, completely. Next one, less replication.
I know that in a previous life at a previous firm, there's so many things that were replicated. Where you're storing documents, who's doing what, um, who's emailing the client, who's taking charge of something,
Mm.
and it's very easy to have a back office system with a folder methodology where you've just got stuff all over the show. Discussions that people have, they have meetings, they talk about stuff. It's talking about the same task over and over and over and the point is no one's getting anything done. So you've definitely got to sort of work out who's responsible for a task, and what are you going to do? Where are you going to store things? And just get on with
Yeah.
it. What do you take from that? Have you identify where you've maybe replicated things
Yeah,
in the office?
I'm sure we have replication, but I think what I took away from it is have a folder structure. So you have if you're saving stuff on SharePoint, for example, have a set folder structure that you organize things and everyone knows where things are saved and kept, and have a naming convention so you know how each item's saved and the reason it's saved in that way. When you're taking notes, have one notes tool that you take notes on. I used to use Evernote. I've now switched over to OneNote with Microsoft, but I have a Remarkable, and I used to take notes in there as well. So I'd have notes on there, and so I now pretty much only take electronic notes on OneNote.
How do you find that Remarkable?
I
It's
find it.
a tablet,
I
isn't it?
find it remarkable.
Have you got the latest one?
No,
You
I haven't
do.
got the latest one. No, I've got an older one, but it is brilliant. I now just use it for reading PDFs. So today I downloaded 2 PDFs on it that I'll just read through and annotate, and then email them back to myself and save them for CPD. But yeah, it is pretty good. But OneNote for electronic for me, and just having some kind of folder structure.
We started to use Teams more in the office for chats between us. So instead of talking and going down to people's desks and all the rest of it, yes, you said before, you got to get up and walk around, make a coffee, move your body rather than just sit constantly all day. But using Teams, not just to have meetings with clients, but to use the chats within it with your team. So you have a group chat and you have an individual chat, and you can fire documents and links and little messages rather than just use WhatsApp on your phone, which isn't as effective in the office. I think you use Teams chat as well.
We do. So externally, obviously, email. Internally, just Teams. So we very, very rarely internally email each other. If a client emails in and somebody else can do the work, that's different. But we wouldn't ask someone. We'd use Teams, and we have different chats. You're absolutely right. So internal office, we have a Lexington group, so it's all the outsourcers as well, individual, that kind of thing.
Do you know earlier on when I showed you this timer, I've just remembered what it's called. It's called the Pomodoro method. So it's all about time management and setting yourself a task to work on. You set a timer for that period of time that it's going to take to do it. Then you work on the task until the timer rings, and then you take a short break, usually 5 minutes, and then you repeat it throughout the day. So you practice the Pomodoro technique.
Yeah, and it's not intentional. I was aware of it. I did it before, but I've been more really religious on it this year because I read that Deep Work by Cal Newport.
Just before we go on to the next one, I wanted to tell you this. I saw this on social media the other day, and I really like it. It says, for the next 6 months, become addicted to these 8 habits, and you'll be unrecognizable by June 2025. So I'll just give you the overheads. Number 1, wake up early, and then it explains why. Number 2 is writing down your thoughts before bed.
Okay.
Number 3 was learning an online skill 30 minutes a day. Oh, okay. Number 4, spend an hour a day exercising. You're doing your 75 hard or hard 75, whatever. Number 5, sit in silence 10 minutes a day. A bit of meditation. Number 6, create a proper sleep schedule. 7 was take a 30-minute walk in nature. And number 8 was read 10 pages a day. I thought, it's quite good.
Interesting, though, that we won't go on to it because we'll go off track, but a couple of things come up in Hard 75. The reading, you read 10 pages a day and you go out, do an outside workout for 45 minutes a day. So, yeah, it is good. It's very good.
What's
next one on your list? Stop tweeting. Or can we just put stop social media? It's just like...
I know. We're pushing this out through YouTube, and obviously it's on Spotify, both forms of social media, I suppose, and the certainly YouTube. And I don't know, I do use LinkedIn, but I don't post regularly. I'm thinking, what's the point? I don't want it to be opinionated or political, and it just who's going to read it? What does it matter? If your clients are reading this and you're engaging with them via social media, and that's the way of getting new business, fine, do that. But there's just the tweeting is now X. Obviously, I find that you can spend, if you want, an hour more a day writing posts, submitting things. Is that what you're going to spend your time doing? So I put on here how to be efficient. Just stop doing it.
Completely agree.
What a waste of time.
I haven't posted, I don't think, on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter personally now for over a year, maybe 18 months like that. I do post.
Just makes you miserable, and it's just a waste of time completely, isn't it?
It is. We do have posts going on there. We have a social media lady who does that. And I'm not sure how valuable it is, really, if I'm honest. I don't think it really gets any clients. But I do post in the morning on LinkedIn, and I literally do it when I'm walking. So done, and it's done. I put it down. I check my LinkedIn in the morning.
Warren's thoughts.
Yeah, just
Warren's morning
it's
thoughts.
I do it because I'm very mindful that I got information from other people when I was growing my practice, and if I can share a couple of ideas that helps people do a little bit better, then it's going to grow this wonderful profession of financial planning.
Yeah, definitely. Right, the last couple, then we'll do some quotes.
Communicate with staff.
So we communicate with staff internally via Teams, and have once a year in end of March I'll do their appraisal with them, and I suppose really a lot of it is empowering your staff, but the communication is just not one thing. It's not just talking to them. It's the way that you treat your staff, and how you do delegate things in house. Who's doing what? How do you praise someone afterwards? How do you monitor what they're doing? I think it's a big subject, communicating with staff generally, about the wording you use. We use the courtesy method. I always say please and thank you. You have to use it with teams. They're not there to just do as you say. That doesn't work in our office. But I think that if you just, as I say, are not in the office at all and don't communicate with your team representing your brand for more than one day a week, you'd be surprised at how nobody knows what they're doing. You're running in different directions. So it's partly to do with making sure everybody knows what they're doing. And you're an overseer. If you're a director of a business and it's your business and they've got staff, you want to make sure that they're working okay without saying every 5 minutes, what are you working on?
Yeah. It's so to communicate with staff, we obviously have our weekly meetings and stuff, but throughout the day we're just sort of generally catching up and having chats. And the great thing, we're doing this Hard 75, everyone in the office is doing it. And it's a massive bonder. It's fantastic. Matt came up with the idea, and he's a tremendous team player. I've got to give him credit. And we're all having a great time doing it. And we have outside, we have a WhatsApp group with other people who are doing the Hard 75 who've joined it. So, there's a bit of camaraderie, and it's keeping us all on track. So, yeah.
Are you sticking to it?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Haven't wavered once. Okay. So anyone listening wants to join the Hard 75 group, or actually not even the Hard 75, the 75 group, because some people are doing easy 75 and stuff, and you want a bit of camaraderie and stuff, feel free to DM me. We'll add you to the WhatsApp group, and we just literally post things like this. I was out this morning. It was peeing down with rain. It wasn't the best walk in the morning. Just put a photograph of me wet, post it, say, hey, look, I've got it in. Let's make sure we do our outdoor walk today and stuff, or outdoor workout. Last one on your wonderful list of being efficient: be proactive, inform clients.
We write emails. We send emails personally. We send emails via MailChimp. Bulk emails out, newsletters, that sort of thing. And you kind of assume that people are listening to it or reading it. Instead, to try to be proactive, call people up, ask what you can do for them, email them directly. Send them a letter, but informing clients it's just a not just one thing. It's realizing that if you've got something to explain to a client that's complicated, you can't just do it once. Most of the time, you've got to do it multiple times for them to understand what you're actually talking about. I'm very big on the being proactive. If you're just reactive, a client says do this, and then you just follow their rule, that's just not running a great business. No. Be amazed at how well things go and how appreciative people are if you just phone them up out of the blue and ask them how they are and what you can do for them, and how they're getting on.
100%. So one thing that I don't do as much as I would like to do, and it's something that I used to do more of, is what we refer to as non-agenda calls. And just literally ringing your client up and say, hey, we haven't spoken for a while. I just wonder how you're doing. How's things? And just exactly what you just said. It's just making sure that them as an individual are fine and they're happy. I think that's the best marketing you can do. Spend your money on that. And if you're going to spend any marketing money, take them out for a meal and have a chat to them, and just really get to know your clients on a deeper level. I think that's a fantastic way of doing it. Obviously, the newsletters to keep them informed of what's going on. And we've given him credit before, but Andy's Hum newsletter, I think, is fantastic for that. So we send that out. And then if there are other things that are going on, we might send periodic emails or the Loom videos out to people and stuff like that just to keep them posted. So just let them know you really care, I think. So
nicely said. So, should we finish on a few quotes?
Yeah, let's finish on a quote. So I think have probably got a couple more quotes than me. So let me just start. No, because you've put a bit more effort in remembering them. But one thing that really springs to mind when it comes to time management is the quote about time and resources. In time is the only resource we spend without knowing our balance.
Okay, good. Like that. Who said that?
I don't know. It wasn't me, but I read it somewhere. It's a great quote, though. I do like it. I'll Google that while you're doing yours. How's that? And I can tell you.
Well, have you heard the Morgan Housel quote? Controlling your time is the highest dividend money pays.
Yeah, I like that too.
From The Psychology of Money. It's a good one, that, isn't it? So this was all about efficiency and how to run an efficient practice, and efficiency leads to productivity. So lead us off with a couple of quotes to finish on, if you would, Warren, about efficiency.
Oh, I don't have any quotes about efficiency.
You're that inefficient.
I'm not very efficient.
Did you have one from Stephen Covey?
Yes, hang on a second. I'm just going to bring it up. The key is not spending time, but in investing it. Yeah. And that was by Stephen Covey, or Covey, as some people refer to him. And then Ernest Hemingway said, never mistake motion for action. And I like that. That's a classic one. I think sometimes people are busy fools. They're just running around doing not relevant things.
100%. There's loads of people that are headless chickens running around saying, I'm busy, but and then they're moving around, but there's no actual constructive, thing that they're doing. They're not actually, leading towards an outcome and achieving something. So, okay, that's good. So I've got a couple. First one is focus on being productive instead of busy. And that's by Tim Ferriss. And this is a reminder that busyness doesn't equal productivity and that prioritizing high impact tasks is key. My second one is by Peter Drucker. And he said that efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things.
I like that one.
And this is supposed to highlight the importance of not just working hard, but working smart by focusing on tasks that truly matter.
Brilliant. Okay, well, let's call it a wrap there, Paul. We've had a good session today. Being efficient, let's finish on time. Thanks for tuning in to the Finance Geeks. That's it for today. We'll be back in 2 weeks and cover your next topics on our list. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Finance Geeks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. Drop your comments and questions on YouTube, and be sure to follow us on social media. Join us next time for more insights to boost your financial planning game.